The day began like any other for the team of miners stationed in the rocky, remote region of the Earth's southern hemisphere. The cold wind bit through their suits as they worked tirelessly at extracting valuable minerals from the ground beneath their feet. However, as they drilled deeper into the earth, something unexpected happened. A sudden shift in the terrain sent the machines into overdrive, and an enormous shockwave surged through the area, throwing the miners off their feet as dust and debris filled the air. At first, they thought it was just another natural cave-in, but when the dust cleared and they ventured closer to the source of the disturbance, they saw something that stopped their hearts: a massive metallic structure buried deep within the Earth's crust, a structure unlike anything they had ever encountered. Its surface was smooth yet adorned with strange symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light of their flashlights. The shape was unlike anything human-made. The sleek curves and sharp edges were far beyond the design of any modern spacecraft or satellite. It was as though they had stumbled upon a relic from another time, another world. The lead miner stood frozen for a moment, his breath caught in his throat. He had worked in these mines for years and had seen countless rock formations, but this was something else. This wasn't just a random formation. This was an artifact, an alien artifact. It couldn't be possible, yet there it was. He signaled for the rest of the team to approach cautiously. The air around the wreckage hummed with a low vibrating sound, as if the ship itself was alive. Somehow they carefully began to clear away the debris, trying to make sense of what lay before them. Though every instinct told them to run, they couldn't look away. Curiosity bound them to the site, as if the ship was calling to them, urging them to discover its secrets. Within hours, news of the discovery spread like wildfire. Emergency response teams arrived from all over the globe. Top scientists were flown in to assess the situation. A global network of governments and private organizations sprang into action. No one knew what they had found, but the world was about to change forever. The questions began to pile up faster than anyone could answer them. What was this ship? Who built it? Where had it come from? And most importantly, why was it buried here on Earth? As teams of scientists and military personnel began analyzing the wreckage, one thing became clear: the technology embedded within the ship was far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. It was constructed from materials that couldn't be found on Earth. Its energy systems were unlike anything in modern physics. Its propulsion technology defied all known principles of aerodynamics, and yet somehow it had crash-landed on Earth, buried under hundreds of feet of rock. Amid the chaos and confusion, a small group of researchers stumbled upon something even more intriguing. Hidden within a compartment of the wreckage was a small device, unlike anything else found on the ship. This device was clearly man-made. It didn't belong to any alien civilization. It seemed almost out of place amid all the alien technology, yet it was crucial somehow, as if it had been designed to be there to complete something larger, to set in motion something beyond human comprehension. As they carefully examined the device, the room went silent. A shiver ran down the spine of every person in the room. They knew that what they had uncovered was not just a relic of alien life. It was a message, a puzzle that had been left behind by someone or something with a purpose. And as the researchers stared at the device, they could feel it. The weight of history pressing down on them. They were on the verge of discovering something that would change everything forever. The device was small, no bigger than a human hand, but it exuded an aura of importance that none of the researchers could ignore. It was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Its surface shimmered with a dark metallic sheen, and strange symbols were etched into its surface, much like those found on the alien ship. The moment they touched it, there was a soft hum, a faint vibration that seemed to resonate through the room. The researchers instinctively stepped back, their breath catching as they realized they were holding something far beyond their understanding. Dr. Lena Ortega, the lead scientist, carefully examined the device. She couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't just a piece of technology, it was a message. But who was it meant for? And why had it been left behind in such a hidden and seemingly unimportant place? She didn't know yet, but she was certain this was the key to everything. Her hands trembled as she placed the device on a nearby table, connecting it to a set of scanners designed to analyze foreign technology. The results were immediate. The scans revealed that the device was not just an object. It was a complex piece of machinery, far more intricate than anything humanity had ever built. Its power source was unlike any known material. There was no sign of any wires or power grids. The device seemed to harness energy from an unknown quantum source, a power that could fuel entire civilizations for centuries. Yet it was small, compact, as if it had been built for something more specific, something more urgent. Dr. Ortega's mind raced. The alien ship, the strange device, the mysterious symbols, everything pointed to something much larger than a simple crash landing. There had to be a reason why this technology had been hidden away. And if humanity was to survive whatever was coming, this device was the key. But how did it work? How could they unlock its secrets before others realized its significance? The next few days were spent in near isolation. A team of researchers, along with a few trusted military personnel, worked tirelessly to analyze the device. No stone was left unturned. They studied every angle, tested every theory, trying to make sense of it all. They soon discovered that the symbols on the device weren't just decorative. They were a language, a complex code waiting to be deciphered. Dr. Ortega knew that they were getting closer, but the pressure was mounting. Governments around the world were already demanding answers. The United Nations called emergency sessions, and military forces began to mobilize, preparing for potential threats that might arise from this new discovery. Rumors of alien life, long considered the stuff of science fiction, were suddenly a frightening reality. Earth was no longer the undisputed center of the universe. Something much larger was at play. And then, just as the team was on the verge of cracking the code, a breakthrough came. A series of hidden compartments inside the device opened, revealing a small crystalline chip. It was unlike anything found in human-made technology. The chip seemed to pulse with energy, glowing softly in the dim light of the lab. When the researchers examined it further, they realized it contained a vast amount of data, more than any single human could comprehend in a lifetime. It was a map that stretched across the galaxy, marked with the locations of distant planets, star systems, and what appeared to be ancient, long-forgotten civilizations. The map, however, had a warning, one that had been buried within the data. The aliens, whoever they were, had left behind this device as a signal, a message of dire importance. They were coming, and Earth was in their sights. The race was now on, not just to unlock the secrets of the device, but to prepare for what lay ahead. Time was running out. Earth had unknowingly become the epicenter of a cosmic conflict that was centuries in the making. The stakes were higher than anyone could imagine, and humanity had no choice but to rise to the challenge. The question was, could they? As the map displayed across the holographic screen, the room fell into an uneasy silence. The locations it marked were scattered across the galaxy, many of them so far from Earth that they seemed almost unreachable. But the key point was clear. One of those locations was Earth itself. The message embedded within the device's data was chilling. The aliens weren't just coming. They had been coming for a long time, and Earth was in their path. Dr. Lena Ortega stared at the map, her mind racing with the implications. It wasn't just an alien race heading for Earth. It was an invasion. But why had they waited so long? Why had they not attacked already? The answer was buried in the map, coded deep within the data. But it was clear that the device was more than just a tool. It was a warning. The team spent the next few days attempting to decode the rest of the data. Every breakthrough led to more questions, and every question only seemed to increase the urgency of their task. The crystalline chip contained not just a map, but records of alien civilizations long destroyed, their planets wiped out by forces far beyond human comprehension. Earth, it seemed, was part of a much larger galactic conflict, one that had been unfolding long before humanity had ever thought to look beyond its own world. Dr. Ortega and her team worked around the clock, growing increasingly desperate to piece together the puzzle. It wasn't just about finding out where the aliens were coming from. They needed to understand why. What had happened to these civilizations? And why had the device been buried on Earth, hidden in plain sight for so long? Was humanity somehow connected to this intergalactic struggle? The deeper they delved into the data, the more they realized that Earth had been unknowingly involved in the galactic conflict for centuries. The ancient device they had discovered was not just a relic. It was part of a larger network of technology designed to protect the Earth from an intergalactic war that had already claimed countless other worlds. And now, for reasons no one could understand, the conflict was coming to Earth's doorstep. The world began to react. News of the discovery had spread far beyond the scientific community, and soon governments and military organizations worldwide were demanding answers. The United Nations called an emergency session to address the discovery, and nations scrambled to position themselves strategically. Factions formed, each one eager to control the alien technology, each one with its own agenda. But amidst all the political chaos, Dr. Ortega realized there was a much more pressing concern: time. The aliens were coming, and if Earth didn't act soon, they would be defenseless. The device, with all its mysterious power, could be the key to humanity's survival, but only if they could unlock its full potential. The pressure weighed heavily on Dr. Ortega's shoulders. She had become the face of the discovery, the one everyone turned to for answers, but she didn't have the answers. Not yet. The device was still a mystery, its true function hidden beneath layers of alien code and human ingenuity. But there was one thing she was sure of. The device wasn't meant for destruction. It was meant for protection. The question was, what kind of protection was it designed to provide? Late one night, as she sat in the lab poring over the device once again, a new realization struck her. This wasn't just about defense against an invasion. This was about humanity's place in the universe, the device, the map, the data. It all pointed to one undeniable truth. Humanity wasn't a passive bystander in the galaxy. It had a role to play, a much bigger role than anyone could have imagined, and that role was about to unfold. The next day, as Dr. Ortega gathered her team to discuss their findings, a massive, unanticipated event occurred. A signal, a transmission sent directly to Earth from the heart of deep space. It wasn't a friendly greeting. It was a declaration of war. The invasion had begun. The signal arrived without warning, sharp, clear, and unmistakably hostile. The message was simple yet chilling. Earth is under observation. Prepare for initiation. It was the first direct communication from the alien fleet, but it was enough to send the world into a frenzy. Every government, military, and civilian group raced to decipher its meaning, and fear quickly gripped the planet. Dr. Lena Ortega and her team were thrust into the eye of the storm, as humanity now faced the harsh reality that their place in the universe was not as secure as they had once believed. The alien transmission, though cryptic, was unmistakably a threat. It was sent from the deep reaches of space, from a point on the map they had uncovered weeks earlier, an area marked with ominous symbols that none of the researchers could fully understand. The transmission wasn't just a warning. It was a signal that the invaders were already making their move, and Earth was the target. The world's governments were in disarray. Military forces began to mobilize in unprecedented numbers, and emergency meetings were held behind closed doors. The United Nations declared a global state of alert, and top leaders gathered to devise a defense strategy. But despite all the resources being poured into the effort, there was one undeniable truth. Humanity wasn't prepared for this kind of conflict. Not by a long shot. The alien technology on the wrecked ship, the mysterious device they had uncovered, was humanity's only hope, but it was still an enigma. In the lab, Dr. Ortega's team worked tirelessly to decode the full extent of the device's power. The alien fleet wasn't just large, it was vast, a collection of ships that spanned entire star systems. The device they had uncovered, though, hinted at something far more powerful than any earthly weapon. Its energy source, its design, it all pointed to the possibility of something capable of matching the invaders. But how could they unlock it? How could they harness this unknown technology before the alien ships arrived? Then came the breakthrough. Late one night, As Dr. Ortega pored over the alien symbols again, something clicked. The device wasn't just a tool, it was a key. The map, the data, the crystalline chip, it was all a part of a larger mechanism designed to activate the defense system hidden within the planet. Earth had been unknowingly prepared for this war. The device was the trigger, but the system was vast, integrated into the very fabric of the planet itself. It was a planetary defense network that could be activated by the device's power, a network that could protect Earth from an invasion. The realization hit Dr. Ortega like a thunderclap. The device wasn't just about defense, it was about control. The planet itself had been waiting for this moment, waiting for someone to unlock its potential. It was as if Earth had been preparing for an invasion it didn't even know was coming. But time was running out. The alien fleet was drawing closer, and the transmission had confirmed their intentions. The researchers could only hope that they could activate the defense system in time. But there was a catch. Activating the system required a level of energy far beyond anything humanity had ever generated. They would have to use the alien device to power up the system, but the device wasn't meant for such an intense burst of energy. It was a gamble, and they weren't sure it would work. As the countdown began, global tensions reached a boiling point. Governments turned against each other, scrambling for control of the device, the only known means of turning the tide. Some believed it should be kept in military hands, others insisted it should be shared with the world. But amidst all the infighting, Dr. Ortega knew one thing: humanity had to unite. The only way to survive was for everyone to come together, to use the device not for power, but for protection. The choice was no longer about who controlled the device. It was about whether Earth could survive the coming storm. And then, as the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit, the device activated. The ground shook, the skies crackled with energy, and for the first time, humanity felt a glimmer of hope. The fight for survival had begun. As the device hummed to life, its energy surged outward, causing the ground to tremble beneath the feet of those gathered in the research facility. Dr. Ortega felt a wave of heat radiate from the machine, its power unmistakable. She had no idea if this would work, if humanity would survive. But there was no turning back now. The alien fleet had arrived, and it was not waiting for Earth to get ready. The first of their massive ships appeared in the sky, blocking out the sun, casting the world into a momentary twilight. The air crackled with the tension of a world on the brink of war. From space, the fleet was an ominous sight. Dozens of enormous vessels, each far larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their sleek black exteriors were adorned with geometric patterns that glowed faintly, and as they hovered above the Earth, it felt as though an unseen weight pressed down on the planet. Dr. Ortega could see it clearly through the observatory's telescopes, an endless sea of ships, moving in perfect unison, like a swarm of insects. Their arrival felt inevitable, like the calm before a storm. Back on Earth, governments scrambled to prepare for the worst. Military leaders gave orders to launch every missile, fighter jet, and defense system Earth had at its disposal, but deep down, they all knew it was futile. Humanity had never faced a threat like this before. The alien fleet was too advanced, their weapons too powerful. The device, the only hope they had, was their last and best chance. But there was something else simmering beneath the surface. As the world united in a desperate attempt to fight back, not everyone agreed on how the device should be used. Tensions between world leaders boiled over. Some wanted to use the alien technology for their own advantage, to claim power for themselves in the wake of the invasion. Others, including Dr. Ortega, argued that it was meant for everyone, to be shared for the protection of all humankind. The stakes were far too high for anyone to play politics. If the device was activated improperly, it could either destroy the planet or make them all vulnerable to alien manipulation. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a power source beyond anything Earth could comprehend. In the midst of the chaos, a betrayal surfaced. A high-ranking military official, General Marcus Harrow, who had been part of the global coalition overseeing the device's operation, secretly ordered a test activation of the device's destructive capabilities. His plan was simple: take the device and use it to create an arsenal of unimaginable power to dominate the incoming invaders and claim the alien technology for himself. He believed that in a world on the brink of annihilation, control of the device would ensure his place at the top. As General Harrow attempted to bypass the safeguards in place, a critical failure occurred. The energy from the device surged uncontrollably, creating a massive shockwave that reverberated across the globe. The sky crackled with raw energy, and for a brief moment, it felt as though the world itself had paused, holding its breath. The rogue activation caused a cascade of electrical storms, with lightning flashing in all directions, and satellites began falling from the sky. The planet was on the edge of destabilization. Dr. Ortega watched in horror as the breach occurred. She knew the device was too powerful for anyone to control in such a reckless manner, but the damage was done. The alien fleet had detected the surge, and they were now fully aware of the threat humanity posed. The first salvo of energy weapons from the fleet was fired, and it struck Earth's atmosphere with terrifying force. Massive energy pulses cascaded downward, tearing apart communication satellites, crippling defense systems, and causing widespread destruction. But in the wake of the chaos, the device responded. It activated its defensive systems automatically, sending out a pulse that deflected the alien weapons. The energy shield that enveloped Earth was unlike anything ever seen before. An enormous dome of pure energy that shielded the planet from the worst of the alien assault. It was humanity's first victory, but the battle was far from over. The invaders had felt the power of Earth's new defense system, and they would not stop until they broke through. The stakes were higher than ever, and humanity had only begun to understand the true power of the device. It was time for Earth to show the galaxy what it could do. But first, they needed to unite, truly unite, or all would be lost. The energy shield held firm, a shimmering dome that wrapped around Earth, absorbing the brunt of the alien assault. For a brief moment, humanity dared to hope. The sudden protection was a shock to the invaders. The aliens' advanced weaponry, designed to decimate entire planets, fizzled harmlessly against the barrier. The sheer scale of Earth's unexpected defense was enough to give pause to even the most seasoned commanders of the alien fleet. But it was not a permanent victory. The aliens regrouped, recalibrated their weapons, and prepared for the next wave. Dr. Ortega watched as the shield held, yet her mind was not at ease. The defense system had worked, at least for now, but it was a temporary solution. The alien fleet would not back down. They would adapt, and soon the shield might no longer be enough. The device had proven its power, but they still hadn't unlocked its full potential. She knew there was more to it, something deeper, something that could not only defend but strike back with devastating force. The question was, could they tap into that power before it was too late? In the aftermath of the rogue activation, Dr. Ortega and her team were forced to rebuild the fragile trust between humanity's leaders. The fallout from General Harrow's betrayal had shaken the world to its core. The general, now in hiding, was seen by many as a traitor, his attempt to seize control of the device nearly costing them everything. But it had also revealed something crucial. The device was not a tool to be wielded by any one person or nation. It was meant to be used by all, united in purpose, to protect Earth and ensure its survival in the face of a threat that spanned the stars. While the world struggled to regain its footing, the alien fleet adjusted their approach. They stopped attacking directly, but their ships moved into a tight formation, orbiting Earth like predators encircling their prey. The time for brute force was over. Now, it seemed, they were waiting for something, waiting for humanity to make its next move. The alien transmission network, previously silent, crackled to life again. But this time it was different. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't an announcement. It was a request for communication. The fleet's commander, a figure whose presence was conveyed through holographic projection, addressed Earth directly. His image was tall, imposing, with eyes that seemed to pierce the very soul. His voice, calm but forceful, boomed across the globe through every channel available. "We have watched your species for millennia. You are not the first planet we have observed, nor will you be the last. But your resilience, your ability to fight, to endure, has been noted. We did not anticipate this defense. You are an anomaly, a variable we had not accounted for. We offer you a choice. Surrender and join us as we reshape this galaxy, or face annihilation." The message was clear, but it wasn't just an ultimatum. There was something else in the alien commander's tone: respect, perhaps even curiosity. They had underestimated humanity, and now they sought to understand it. The question was, how could humanity respond to such a challenge? Could they negotiate, or was this a battle to the death? Dr. Ortega was caught in the middle of a decision that could alter the course of history. The device had the power to defend Earth, but it was far more than a weapon. It held the potential for peace, for alliance, but only if they could decode its final secret. The device was not just designed to defend Earth. It was designed to communicate, to forge connections with other civilizations. There was a way out of this, a way to ensure Earth's survival without bloodshed. But it required unity, trust, and the willingness to negotiate with the very beings who had come to destroy them. Dr. Ortega convened a meeting with world leaders, military commanders, and the scientific team. The stakes had never been higher. The choice was simple: either humanity would fight for survival, or they would extend a hand to the aliens, offering a path toward coexistence. The decision was fraught with risk. Some were already preparing for war, unwilling to trust the invaders, but others, including Dr. Ortega, believed the time had come for diplomacy, for humanity to prove that their strength wasn't just in their ability to fight, but in their ability to evolve, to adapt, and to make peace where others might only see destruction. As the hours passed and the alien fleet loomed overhead, the world held its breath, waiting for the decision that would shape its future. Would Earth become a beacon of hope in the galaxy, or would it become another casualty of a war that had raged for far longer than anyone could have known? The world stood on the precipice, caught between two choices: to fight or to negotiate. As the alien fleet orbited Earth, their ships stretching across the sky like dark shadows, humanity wrestled with its future. The alien commander's message had shaken the world, igniting debates that raged through every nation, every media outlet, and every council room. The stakes were so high that the very air felt charged with the weight of decision. Dr. Ortega, though, had made up her mind. The device, the key to Earth's survival, held more than just the power to defend. It could be the foundation for something greater, something the aliens could never have expected. But time was running out. The alien commander had given Earth only 72 hours to decide. In that time, they had to find a way to communicate their answer, and it had to be a unified one. At the United Nations, representatives from all corners of the globe convened in an emergency session. Every leader knew that the world's response would define their legacy. Some nations had already mobilized their military forces, ready to strike at the alien fleet before it could make its move. They saw the offer as a trap, a way for the invaders to test Earth's defenses, to lower their guard before unleashing destruction. But others, including a growing number of scientists, led by Dr. Ortega herself, argued that there was another path, one that could prevent an all-out war. They believed the device, if used properly, could open a door to peace, to diplomacy, if only humanity was willing to embrace it. Dr. Ortega stood at the center of the debate, trying to make her voice heard. The device was a bridge, she argued, not a weapon. The aliens were not mindless conquerors. They were explorers, just as humanity had once been. Their fleet had been watching Earth for millennia, and perhaps they saw something in humanity that others hadn't. The question was, what could Earth offer in return? Could they forge an alliance, one that would not only protect Earth from future invasions, but also unite them with other civilizations? But not everyone shared Dr. Ortega's vision. Military leaders were growing impatient. We cannot risk trusting them, General Liam Rice, the head of Earth's combined defense forces, argued. They came here to conquer. We've seen their power. We've seen their weapons. There's no room for negotiation. We must fight them before they turn their weapons on us. Despite the growing tension in the room, Dr. Ortega stood firm. She knew the alien fleet could destroy Earth in an instant if they chose to. But she also knew that this wasn't just a battle of firepower, it was a battle of will. Humanity had shown resilience before. If they could just show the aliens that they weren't merely survivors, they were capable of something greater, something more profound than violence. The debate raged on for hours, but in the end, it was the collective will of Earth's leaders that would decide. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a consensus was reached. A message would be sent, not one of surrender, but one of invitation. An invitation to dialogue, to cooperation. Earth would extend a hand to the aliens, but they would not do so from a position of weakness. They would demand respect, equality in the negotiations, and the preservation of their sovereignty. The message was brief but firm. We are not your enemies. We seek peace. We offer cooperation, but we will not bow to threats. We invite you to speak, to listen, and to learn from one another. The world held its breath as the signal was sent to the alien fleet, transmitted through every available channel. As the message traveled through space, a deep silence fell over the United Nations chamber. Dr. Ortega stood at the center, unsure of what the alien response would be, but knowing in her heart that this was the only way forward. For a long moment, there was no response. The fleet remained silent, its ships hovering in place above Earth, waiting. And then suddenly, the alien transmission network crackled to life again. The commander's holographic image appeared once more, but this time, his demeanor was different. He did not speak with the cold command of before. His expression, though still stern, seemed curious. He regarded Earth's message for a long moment before speaking in a tone that was not quite as menacing. "You have chosen the path of reason," he said. "We did not expect this. You have shown that you are not merely capable of survival, but of something far more complex. We will listen. Prepare your representatives. The time for war has ended. For now." The tension in the air seemed to dissipate as the fleet's ships, though still hovering, no longer loomed as ominously. Humanity had done the impossible. They had turned the tide. They had chosen peace. But as Dr. Ortega stood there, staring at the alien commander's projection, she knew this was only the beginning. The road ahead would not be easy, and the galaxy was still full of unknowns. But for the first time since the invasion had begun, Earth had a chance, not just to survive, but to thrive in the larger universe. And it was a chance they would not waste. Weeks passed in a tense yet hopeful atmosphere. Earth's message had been heard, and the alien fleet, under the direction of the mysterious commander, had not moved to engage further. Instead, they had shifted to a stance of cautious observation. Dr. Ortega and her team worked tirelessly with a coalition of diplomats, scientists, and military strategists, carefully navigating the delicate path of diplomacy that had been forged in the wake of humanity's unprecedented decision. The first face-to-face meeting between Earth's representatives and the alien commander was set to take place. The alien fleet, hovering in Earth's orbit, had allowed a diplomatic envoy to approach one of their ships. The rendezvous was risky, but it was the next logical step. The alien commander had agreed to meet under specific conditions. Earth must send a representative who could speak on behalf of all humanity, someone who understood the risks, the stakes, and the potential consequences of this unprecedented meeting. Dr. Ortega had been chosen. She stood before the world's leaders, her heart pounding in her chest. She had spent years studying the alien device, learning its secrets, but now she would face the true mystery of the alien race itself. She had no delusions about how precarious this moment was. One wrong word, one wrong gesture, and the fragile peace they had established could shatter. The journey to the alien ship was unlike anything Dr. Ortega had ever experienced. A small craft, equipped with the latest Earth technology, and protected by the energy shield activated by the device, took her to the waiting alien ship. As they approached, Dr. Ortega marveled at the vessel's sleek, imposing form, its surface gleaming like obsidian in the light of Earth's distant sun. The craft was not built for beauty. It was built for something far more profound. The sheer scale of it was humbling, a reminder of how much humanity had to learn. When the airlock doors opened, Dr. Ortega was greeted not by an overwhelming force, but by a presence, quiet, watchful, and deeply alien. The alien commander stood before her, his imposing figure framed by the dark interior of the ship. His eyes, a deep shade of violet, studied her carefully, though there was no malice in his gaze. There was only curiosity. "We meet at last, Dr. Ortega." His voice resonated in her mind, a tone that bypassed language entirely. It wasn't a voice, not in the traditional sense, but a presence, like thoughts shared between minds. Dr. Ortega nodded, taking in the gravity of the moment. "I'm honored to meet you," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. "I come with the hopes of understanding, and of finding a way forward together." The alien commander tilted his head, as if considering her words carefully. "We have observed your species for eons, Dr. Ortega. Your potential, your rapid advancement, your desire to survive despite the odds. These are qualities we respect. But now, you have made a choice that has altered the course of your history. You have chosen diplomacy, not destruction. Why?" Dr. Ortega thought about the question for a moment. The choice was simple, yet complex. "Because we believe that even in the face of overwhelming power, there is always a choice. We are not just survivors. We are thinkers, creators, builders. We have the capacity to learn, to adapt, and to forge new paths. We choose to offer that to you." The commander's violet eyes glowed softly. "We will see if this is true. Your species has never before encountered forces such as ours. But your actions are unexpected. We are curious to learn how your people will respond to the challenges that lie ahead." As the conversation unfolded, it became clear that the aliens were not invaders, not in the traditional sense. They were explorers, ancient travelers who had seen countless worlds rise and fall, and had come to Earth not to conquer, but to assess. The conflict that had nearly destroyed Earth was merely a test, a final measure to see if humanity could rise to meet the challenges of the universe. Dr. Ortega knew that the meeting was far from over. There were still dangers to face, unknowns to uncover. But in that moment, she saw something she had not expected: the potential for cooperation, for a true alliance between Earth and the alien civilization. There was much humanity still had to learn, but now they had a chance to be part of something greater than their world, a chance to explore the stars, to connect with civilizations beyond their understanding. As she left the alien ship, Dr. Ortega's heart swelled with a sense of awe and purpose. Earth had survived, not through destruction, but through unity, hope, and the belief that they had something valuable to offer the universe. The journey ahead was uncertain, but the road was open, and for the first time in history, humanity stood on the threshold of the cosmos, ready to step beyond the stars. The conflict was over, but the true adventure was only just beginning.